Good morning, good day, and this is February 20, 2021, speaking to you in Suraj Singh from Bharat, India, regarding professional engineering, civil engineering, construction engineering, field engineering, and skills. And also, most important is AnnexSL quality structure of an organization. Title being Civil Field Engineering, Designs, Construction Methods, Contracts, AnnexSL, Organizations, and most important is Communication, Coordination, Quantity, Quality. And why is quality that important? It must import attention, but is it? Is it important? That's point here. I am very much, I am always very much concerned about quality which is, you can say, life, real life of everyone. If I don't have quality as an engineer, I cannot call myself engineer. Qualification, educational qualification is one part of life, but how do I use that during lifetime, during career? That is most important point to be considered. Having something taught by others and doing yourself, there is a difference. How I use my character, how I use my habit, how I use my efforts, my energies towards doing something that's real life work which we cannot condemn. Student life is one part, while real life, professional life, occupational life, vocational life, and normal life amounts to different part. It's not necessary everything is okay. Every person is different, individuality is different, mind is different, thinking is different, character is different. And no product is same, no person is same. Level of conscious and level of hearts and level of minds all are different. Therefore, it's very important sometimes to talk psychologically as well as physically, spiritually as well as mentally, because all activities work in ourselves. Everyone has this property, everybody is different, and so quality percentage, quality coefficient is different. For someone, physique is more important, but for another one, mind is more important. For another one, bhakti is important, and for someone else, practical life is important, practice is important. So we cannot fix these criteria by some formula. We have to ensure what we say is true. It is very difficult even for an individual to analyze oneself. But remember, analysis is not a term, it's not a spelling, Analysis, but it has wider meaning. Analysis means a thorough investigation, you may say that. A thorough investigation for whatever problem is known as analysis. Analysis, opposite to which is synthesis, means combine everything and see it in different form while study something in analytical form. Analytical form is very much calculative, while synthesis form is not that much calculative, but it may just like its energy. Suppose that you have an electrical appliance, you use it, that light which you are using is synthetic light, though it is analytical based, but it is synthetic for you because you are just using it. So whatever energy you are having, that is synthesized form. But when you have a problem, solution is something else. I'm talking of problem. How to enter into domain of problem and understand the problem, each and every part of problem. That's an analysis. How to conduct analysis is very important part, and engineering is based on analysis. When scientist observes nature, how nature is working, and that nature is working in synthetic form, Nature does not tell you what is its analysis, what is its components, what is its elements, but this is scientist who has capacity to view, to understand that synthetic work, and by application of its analytical power knows what actually it is. So engineering is therefore a world of analysis, and based on that analysis it is also engineering which makes it into a synthetic form like a structure or like whatever else in all engineering. This computer which you are using is also a product of analysis and synthesis. Every application in life we use is based on certain you can say technology, and that technology is based on analysis, and we can say theory of structures. We call it theory of structures. We call it theory of structures, that is complete analysis from a single force to complicated forces, from a single beam, single column to multi-level buildings, and complicated analysis we conduct. And those analysis, those analytical power gives us various answers, various options, and we use them in our way, and it's up to engineer to use that in its own way. Design of engineering and construction of engineering both are interrelated, because construction does physically what designer does mentally. Analytically, that information which designer gives to person who works on site is converted to physical shape, of course with quality. If that quality part is missed on site, whole design efficiency which was input by designer goes waste, or it's implemented only in few percentages, but it should be 100% or more. So that's what is more important, and we have to understand this point. Quality, when I say quality, which means a an organization, you may call it contracting organization, whosoever, they are required to deliver something to people or to their owner or client whose project is something, so whatever project, structural project or whatever you can say, must be qualitatively done, quantitatively and qualitatively done. When I say quantitatively and qualitatively, this means if you produce quantity, it must be compliant with quality requirement. And if that product on project is not in line to requirement, we can call it substandard work. Standard work and substandard work, there's a difference. Standard work means this work stands on what was required, what was defined for this work, means its drawings, designs, its specifications, whatever expected of that work has been done, so it's called standard work. And if you miss something there, whatever way, if it does not comply to what was required, then we can call it substandard work. And to what percentage substandard it is and how shall it be accepted, that is different aspect. If you can't produce quality, this means you are not qualified for that work, you do not know your professional activity. If you can't provide quality, you can't deliver quality, means you are not, you can say, competent person, engineer for that job. This point one must understand, that engineering is not what you think is just by academic achievement No, it's not. Experience, real experience in field teaches everyone. If you have opportunity on a project which is professional and done professionally, and you learn a lot on that project, that learning by experience on site weighs much more than what you could learn in your academics. Yes, in academics you might have learned derivation of formula, theories, analysis, everything you must have done. And long hours and months together. You studied those subjects, around 40 subjects in engineering degree, and then further specialization. You might have done that. That's not false. That's true. But are you having capacity to do that on site? That is measurable qualification. How much you can do and how much can you learn, it depends upon your will and your determination, or you take it easy, or you try to learn a lot from your work front. That makes you how much quality value you earn. I can call a person having long experience on site and real experience, not time pass experience. That person has multi layers of experience, and that multi layer of experience qualifies that person for all higher responsibilities. There, your education is counted only a criteria, and because you understood you did successful work, it is also understood that your education was genuine. And if you cannot do work, then people ask questions. From where did you qualify? Did you pass or you are having fake certificate? Such questions are raised, and that question is true. Means if you passed engineering, then you must know something. If someone talks to you about engineering terms and you are not able to answer, might be you have fake education certificate. That case is very bad for candidate for that person. I have seen such persons, many such persons. But point is not that. Point is quality has widest meaning, widest expression. It's not quality of one item. It's quality of hundreds of items, hundreds of materials, hundreds of activities, hundreds of procedures in construction engineering. And design must also have certain quality standards. It must be done, it must be carried out in such a way that person who works on site finds interest in learning from designs. Design drawings should not be considered, a burden by those simplest people who may not be very well qualified or educated, but who have a lot of interest to learn drawings, at least reading. So from that point of view, I can say that it's very important that quality must be kept in view, while doing whatever activity in our profession. If we don't keep quality, yes, we should be habitual of that. It's not simply somebody should remind you. No need be reminded. It's your activity, your job. Whatever you do, it must be started with quality. Otherwise, don't do it. And if you do without quality, then you are not an engineer. Simple. Quality should be in your soul. Quality should be in your, mind. Quality should be in your heart. Quality should be in every moment of your life. That I have to live quality, I have to work quality, I have to deliver quality. Until you have that power, that thought, I don't think that you will give value to quality. It's not only on job front, it's everywhere. Everywhere. It's everywhere you go, you must have quality, competency, quality, consistency, quality hunger. I do not say you do only quality. Quality and quantity both must move together simultaneously. Neither should lag behind other one. If we say quality is lagging behind, this means quantity is moving ahead. So that doesn't work. Or otherwise too doesn't work. Both should move together. We in management consider time, cost, and quality very important knowledge areas in addition to many other knowledge areas. These three are very primary because cost is very important for whatever project we have, or if cost escalates, then important knowledge area, that's time. Time must be maintained because if we do not maintain time, then you go to quality. So if quality, if cost, you have to go more. If you are doing substandard work, then you have to do it again or modify that work. It costs. So your budget is impacted upon by that modification or amendment, or to bringing back your work to quality requirement. This is ordinary principle, and why you miss quality, that is you have to answer. That question is yours to answer. Did you not learn anything about quality, or did your professor did not teach you? Did your professor not teach you? This point is very important. Quality cannot be taken in laughing, it cannot be taken as joke. Quality is quality. I am not talking of material quality alone, I am talking of quality as a system, as a structure of system. Complete process of construction, design, and whatever else must be based on certain qualified system, quality system. And their system we are going to talk about. Every day we talk, and also this day I find interest in talking to you. I talk to you about, we have one institution, that is ISO 9000. We use it for purpose of our quality designs, I mean to say not quality but standardization of quality system. If I run a company or you run a company, organization, engineering organization, you have to work according to guidelines provided by International Standards Organization, we call ISO, about quality. Job of ISO is not to register you or someone else. That job is not ISO job. There are so many other agencies approved by ISO. Those agencies are responsible to certify your organization and not ISO 9000. Just be clear. ISO says just comply with that, and those agencies ensures that you comply with published documents by ISO 9000, and that is quality system. That's what I'm talking about. There's latest in 2015 that AnnexSL is a format of clause 10 clauses are there. That format, if you comply with, if you practice, then you may be allowed to call you're complying with ISO 9000 requirements. I discussed about that AnnexSL format last time. All these clauses, like these clauses, 10 clauses, in which clause number 4 is important, clause number 5 is very important, 6, like that 10 clauses are there, because the clause number 4 context of organization, which covers a lot, clause number 4, and of course clause number, you can say 6 which is planning, and like that there are 10 clauses. I think, if I am not wrong, I can remind you if you wish. And that is, AnnexSL. I just show you what I'm talking about, so that this is clear to you. This becomes clear to you. Uh, this is clause 1 is scope. Clause 1 is scope. Clause 2 is normative references. Clause 3 is terms and definitions. Planning. Clause 7 is support. Clause 8 is operation. Clause 9 is performance. Start with the scope. So 1 is scope. 1 is scope. 2 is normative references. 3 is terms and definitions, and 4 is context of organization. 5 is leadership, and 6 is planning. Then 7 is support. 8 is operation. 9 is performance evaluation, and 10 is improvement. In these clauses, and we were discussing yesterday and I think before yesterday, we are discussing AnnexSL of ISO 9001 2015 QMS is quality management system, and I devised it for contracting general RCC buildings construction, in which we talked of yesterday about contractor general RCC building construction template. And it was, I did this for RCC buildings from, little, I can say, these three areas, three standards: ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, which had been separately in past and having different structures. This SL and XSL has done to unify them, so that structures for all these three, that is ISO 9001, this is 40, the ISO 9001 is for quality management, 14001 and 45000, this is for safety and environment. These must have same type of structure in definitions, or you can say structures of this organization work. They have to decide, every organization has to decide its own according to these 10 clauses from scope 2 and 1. These clauses must be same in all those environment and health standards. I just tried to explain about scope yesterday. Then about scope of contracting journal. What is contracting journal or general contracting? RCC buildings, because RCC buildings is a complicated work. It looks very easy to speak about, but actually it's very difficult work. RCC buildings, and if it is cast in situ, it's much more difficult than precast, because precast concrete is having much better controls than site concrete, because precast work is done in yards. So our main point is RCC buildings. Actually, this is for site, because lot of, we can say, hundreds of activity on sites are carried out, and many hundred people work on sites of all classes of workers. You can say thousands of handle these activities, and there are for sure chances that there could be errors on site works. Therefore, RCC building, which is very hard work, to be very frank, hard work in its working, physically working, as well as if you are intensifying on quality controls, it's of course much more than ordinary work, because if there is nothing on site, you start from scratch. There's nothing. You start from scratch and deliver in finished form. So you can say it's a different kind of approach. We must we must realize this, that it's not as easy as we think. It's different. We cannot we cannot escape our responsibility in that regard. Responsibility is responsibility. No one can run away from that. That is what I I try to concentrate on, because I myself have worked on sites for many years. Many projects I took care of, and I made mistakes also. I cannot say that I am thorough about works. When you work on sites, means it is your learning stage also. You are delivering work, but you are learning to you learn to at that point. You learn from work, from people or workers, from documents, from equipment, from communication, from other people, consultants, as well as whole all stakeholders. You have to study complete documents, which can you call contracts, drawings, specifications, or you have to learn from those records as well. Then you have to do site work, you have to do surveying work or take support from surveyors. Then you have to understand all activities of those items you do. And because everything starts from structure first and finishes come very late, structures, which is, you can say, actually you build a structure, to be very frank. A structure is built by engineers, of course through contractors. Contractors do employ engineers as well as everybody else, consultants and all others. So structure itself is real work. Others come on, finishes later on, and finishes are very important as well, but not having that height of importance as a structure does have, because safety, serviceability, and durability, if we think of structure, must have. And combination of these three or more properties or quality criteria, you can say your structure produced on site must be safe, it must be serviceable, it should provide service, I mean to say intended service. And then durability, which means for how many years you have designed or you have thought of structure, at least for that duration it must serve. So we take only these three criteria, we can add many more into this, but these are basics, that structure must be safe, it must serve, and also it must be durable. So it is a combination of these three, and this term is known as reliability. So you can say reliability is equal to safety plus serviceability plus durability. And durability is mostly affected if we do not take care of quality of concrete. I mean, talking of structure. So here means concrete. If you do not take care of RCC, that's called reinforced cement concrete, if you don't take its care, you cannot achieve durability. Because durability means concrete is a material, steel is a material. And of course these take loads every moment, and in long run these can impact on concrete, hardened concrete, and there could be some invisible changes in properties of what material we produced. And the time comes when we can think, oh, Now this material has been used for so many months, so many years. There should be some change in its property which is natural, and we call it hysteresis, loss of hysteresis. Means if you say use some structure for 30, 40, 50 years, there should be some loss in structure. Could be, there could be distress in a structure, but should not be. It won't be if you care about design quality and work quality. After all, we should not forget that every structure is subject to weather changes, subject to changes on loadings or actions. Many actions are there which we can take off, we can keep in our minds, and properties of material too changes from time to time. We consider elastic our concrete as well as reinforcement bars or steel. So you can say, just we say whatever load comes on something, for the force comes on some product or some column or some beam or whatever, you can say that column or beam resists that one. But these forces are not same all time. Yes, there is a separate loading which is called that load or weight of material. That does not change. That does not change, but forces that apply are applied on this, those forces which apply on them, these can change, this can impact upon. So we call that live load, accidental load, heat load, thermal load, fire, whatever could be, moisture. We know that even moisture can penetrate into concrete. Moisture can penetrate into concrete and it can harm its durability, because if moisture penetrates, it can corrode steel inside, and corrosion means in long run steel is like zero, so there is a chances that frequent distress in the building may come up, and that means your building is going to over, structure is going to be over. And it is done because at a time of construction and time of casting, somebody did not take care of such activities. Whatever negligence could be there, nobody bothered, and we did just did it. So we have to talk of quality system in different tone, in that tone. That when we consider quality, we are spending a lot of money on that, then it should be useful. It's not only purpose of where we have to sign something. Signing is of course recordable, but when you do something, we have to keep in mind that time that it could be different response. That is very important point. From that point of view, we can say quality requirement criteria. Now we should say quality requirement criteria, not exclusively quality assurance. Now I'm not talking of assurance actually. What for assurance? We are paying money. We are spending money on every component. We spend money on foundations, superstructures, and we spend money on all materials, human resources. So we cannot say that it's a question of assurance, but I would say it's a question of in fact it should be a question of requirement. It's my requirement. I am spending money. I'm using my land, and if I don't meet requirement, what for I should spend money? Money doesn't mean money only. Money means natural wealth. Spending all natural wealth, spending everything, using every material, human resources, equipment resources, and if even after that I say I have assurance only. Assurance by whom? assurance by people, by experts. But I did job, I have to make sure, it's not ensure, make sure with confirmation. Whatever we did, whatever we did from start of project to end of project, particularly structural part of project, we should clearly state, yes, it was done in line to requirements. That is what is required. Quality cannot be defined in one go. It has to be understood in different goals. Sometimes, there is some small work we do not care for. Let us take, for example, soil. Some people don't even understand that compaction is very important part of soil. Soil, if you backfill, soil if you use as formation, natural, you have to make sure, you have to make confirmation that whatever soil you are using must have that strength, or you must experiment that by calling some metal testing laboratory and conducting site testing. After compaction, if you have excavated that site, means consolidation, they already disturbed. If there was nothing on that site for centuries or for decades, it must have naturally consolidated. But because we had to construct, we started dismantling, and that is not bad part. Means you started this from beginning, and then you reached upstairs, and if you go to floor 1, and I'm sitting here, very important part. Must understand quality. It is must. And engineers, civil engineers, they are responsible for this. There is no dearth of civil engineers in our country. There is no shortage. Actually, we are redundant. We are redundant means we cannot join organizations who can't even pay for transit. Sometimes we overboost ourselves. See what I have done in quality. I have done very well in quality. Yes, you must have done very well. But to what you understand is very well, not otherwise. Some people don't understand what is water cement in that. Some people don't know after 2 hours they add water to mix of concrete. There are so many issues. Some people do not even know temperature requirement, air temperature and concrete temperature. Some people do not know, and some people know everything. It depends upon what interest you take. This talk is not about telling you temperature of concrete, but I am just giving reference only about lapse of quality system. When we define system of our organization, we think this is only way to move ahead. What happens then? That's point we have to discuss. How quality can work, how can we make best use of organization, because even if you do not give quality, you have to spend same money you spend on project, and you are not sure about quality. So there should be a structure. of AnnexSL as far as this domain is concerned, and that structure part is here, as we said in this, which we discussed yesterday. This is, this is, you can say, close this AnnexSL. No use of opening this now. I'll open it again, and then, as we said in this scope yesterday, we talked of clause 1. This scope doesn't amount of direct product delivery into honor, but other contracts and parties are involved for a successful delivery of product. We discussed this. So scope 1, then scope clause 1, clause 2. Like this, I think I've gone to 7. I remember 7 clauses we have covered in this. 7 clauses. I cannot repeat everything because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and this is we discussed. You may say, I think it's 25 or something. Let me see, where is that? It's not getting that one so fast. Yes, we were up till, I think support was done, right? Support was done. Support also was done. Supporting was done. Then we had to come to operations. All right. In support, what we studied, so that I just just refresh. So I also forget, In support, we studied this clause 7 support, that is resources, competence, awareness, communication, documented information, and points we considered materials, equipment, and human resources, capacity, potential of organization and individual, qualification of personnel, awareness among all pertinent system and its functioning, a qualification of personnel, awareness among all pertinent system and its functioning, written job description, work procedures, safety procedures, quality procedures, administration method, documented information is different than documentation, whatever information about management and procedures or process or in whatever form, such as written, text, maps, charts, designs, successful implementation, evidence of compliance of requirements, no system of documents but evidentiary, you can say, available documents for reference and future use, and we call it documented information. That is, you can say, documents, system not required but available documents for reference is required, and future use documented information. We talked at length about this support system. No need going back to each and every point because it takes a lot of time. Then we say, all right, after this we have to understand about clause 8. Clause 8, that is operation. Operation, clause 8. This includes operational planning and control. Points for considerations are in-house process, outsource process or processes. Overall process management includes adequate criteria to control these processes, manage planned and unintended changes. So what we see in this, Buildings require many operations. You know, buildings require many operations, which start from corporate or support office of contractor, which is start from corporate or support office of contractor prior to bidding work is started. Prior what's first one was building requires many operations which start from corporate or support office of contractor. That's one part. And prior to bidding work is started, bidder needs one fully established office that can meet project requirements. This office should have all departments. This office should have all departments established at one location to avoid unnecessary movement of personnel from one office to other office. Bid starts with board section. Board means governing board of a company, organization. A bid starts with board section to estimate division. Estimation division which submits its bid report back to board, who often decides or then decides upon designated charter whether or not to go with bid in issue. When we have to work on this bid or we don't want to work on bid, we have to write that report on charter. And charter, I have told you before, company's project charter, who then decides upon designated charter whether or not to go for this bid. Once bid is to go, once bid is to go, decision is made, is to go, means we have to do this bid. Estimation division means which is responsible for bids. Estimation division comes into its full-fledged working, in full-scale working on bid by appointment by board of project manager. Means what? Project manager appointed for that bid. By board appoints project manager in whose control bid shall be worked out with coordination among all personnel belong to estimation division. Now, an estimation coordinator shall be appointed, means is appointed. Estimation coordinator is appointed, means bid coordinator, you can say. A person who has to work on this bid dedicatedly. An estimation coordinator is appointed for particular bid, who with support of quantity surveyors and others invite all quotations from various prospective vendors and subcontractors. Coordinator would check out all bid documents to attach with all invitation letters one by one and try dispatch all to each vendor, which process takes lot of hard work and time. What it does means you have to invite bids or quotations, you may call better than bid. You have to invite quotations from various persons who will work for you, whether to supply material or to give you services, direct services. Quotations are invited from all possible candidates, incumbents, companies, organizations. Then, it depends on what work you are doing your way in house and work you are leaving it to others to do house. Outsourcing means I'm talking of outsourcing like situation here, when you invite quotations and call those experts people to bid or to quote for you And if you think that you have to provide bill of quantities also, if you forget about this work of. That point's very important here, that you have to invite quotations, which is not easy job. You have to invite quotation based on bit quantities, drawing details, and what are standard details of that. This you have to do. Once you have done this, you are on start of bid. Now coordinator gives a date to all vendors. Before this, coordinator has provided them pages of drawings or relevant drawings, pages of specifications, and you can say quantities. If you have unpriced quantities, you have given, and these three, and also they can demand contract pages if you can. So you can say that BOQ drawings and all details requirement, and of course then we can say coordination starts. You may get quotations, you may not get quotations, you may be asked for more queries, and you have to respond them one by one. That's very important point for her. Then you go to coordinator gives a date to all vendors for tender or bid closing, and date on which or before which quotations should be obtained. Thereafter, thereafter, all details, all details received from various vendors are entered into item-wise list on spreadsheet if used for purpose of making rates and conditions comparison between various bidders. Various companies quoted for you with quotation, various quotations you can say. Bidders doesn't fit in here. Now coordinator is empowered, coordinator is authorized to call these vendors. These vendors whom it is expected that would support competitive bidding, for which meeting is appointed, and what do you say? Then coordinator is authorized to call these bidders, these quoters, quotation persons, whom it's expected that would support competitive bidding for which meeting is appointed and conducted for purpose of negotiations on assurance to abide by bidding. Alright then, particularly you know, for package subcontractor requirement related to electromechanical and plumbing, such meetings are conducted to drive better and reliable support for winning with contracts. Once all items are prepared, all items of bid are prepared, work of computing bid items and related prices invested should be on Therefore, you can say once all items are prepared, work of computing bid items and related prices start, and talks are made to those vendors. Negotiations are made, you may say, temporary negotiations with who fail to send quotations. Those field is filed via that. Now, you can say once all items are prepared, work of computing bid items and related prices about about you know you can say start and take controls of environment. This uh, all items received in quotations and relevant specifications are compared to make sure that vendor complied with bid requirements and that too was Okay, then the continuation of the stock. This new stuff will bore. I don't want you to sleep. Continue talking when we let this video continues. And once all these items are prepared, work of computing bid items and related process, related prices start, and you can say talks are made to, talks are made to those co-vendors who fail to send quotations and requests, and others to omit styles. Once all items are prepared, work of you know, computing bid items and related prices come up, and talks are conducted. Talks are made. Talks are made to those vendors who say quoted basis. So all the vendors received the quotations, the relevant specifications are compared to make sure that vendor complied with bid requirements, and if certain discrepancy noticed, clarification sought from vendors. Once all items are ready for pricing, when all items are ready for pricing purpose, estimator designated for bid centers enters all prices into software. Then all other indirects are fixed in. All after completion, all you can say all completing uh, so you can start completing all that enters. Other end work on format of bid will continues by fulfilling fulfilling all bid requirements, including execution statement, so that full bill packet be ready for submission. So we can say easily at not sharing document here. No, no direct relay. Now, after completing all that entry of direct and indirect, indirect, or provisional bid prices is worked out, and 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 also we can say now that again I say after completing all that entry of directs and indirects, provisional bids prices reached for management consideration and we can say review. Who other end work on format of bid continues and other day when it shows after that you go to no you can say once all data is entered and we put it management consideration, we put the management other end works on format of bid doc contains is continues and by fulfilling all bid requirements including execution statement so that ST continue that And therefore, here we can say, meanwhile, if certain clarification if certain clarification is required from engineer or owner, queries are sent to engineer in approved format, and information sort or whatever queries related to bid documents are made. Planning division is given task to prepare level 1 schedule for purpose to include with bid, who work out all histograms and related submission documents for scheduling. When various meetings are conducted among bid working personnel under chair of estimation manager, and final prices are fixed. All required documentations are prepared and enclosed with bid forms. All materials proposed on permanent inclusion and everyday. Okay. Alright, it's a lot of time gone in this. Well, I think I was detracked, was thrown out of track due to some reason, which point due to bad weather conditions and some difficult situation. I had a break and continuing it. In that regard, all required documentations are prepared and enclosed with bid forms, and various meetings are conducted among bid working personnel under chair of estimation manager, and final prices are fixed. All materials proposed are permanent inclusion are enlisted for review by engineer. All vendors are enlisted and enclosed for similar purpose as materials do. Final prices are reviewed by project manager and then at end by board, and confidential prices given to estimation manager, who incorporates all such prices and close bid for purpose to submit to engineer. After all the foregoing process for bid preparation, bid is submitted to defined location by bidder prior to appointed final hour. Bid negotiations. Bid is opened by engineer on date appointed and list of bidders is prepared. It's not necessary that bid be awarded to bidder who quoted minimum price, but this is part of practice only. Engineer Engineer examines and scrutinizes all bids received. Then a list is prepared by engineer to invite bidders. To invite bidders. It is not necessary that bid be awarded to a bidder who quoted minimum price, but this is part of practice only. Engineer examines and scrutinizes all bid received. Then a list is prepared by engineer to invite bidders under negotiations. Considerations one by one. Minimum quote bidder is prioritized for negotiations along with prime or main bid. Alternative bid also examined simultaneously. Alternative, then along with prime or main bid, alternative bid are also examined simultaneously. Notes are made for all bids regarding bid in order of submission, or if certain deficiency exists, whatever deficiency exists, bidder is asked to clear it or clarify it in a defined time for further consideration. After making complete review and scrutiny of bids, bidders are called for further negotiations, which leads to award a bid to one best bidder. Later, engineer makes a report for bid award for honors consideration, and final decision is taken by honor on engineer's recommendation. Now, having considered engineer's recommendations, owner approves award of contract and worked out sum, duly instructing. Now, I'm talking of contract award here, it says that whatever deficiency is alright. Engineer makes a report for bid award for owner's consideration and final decision is taken by owner on engineer's recommendations. And then contract award, having considered engineer's recommendations, Honor approves award of contract and worked out some duly instructing engineer to issue letter of appointment to contractors. Engineer as such issues an appointment letter with approved lump sum for carrying out complete scope within contract. Name of resident engineer is also included within this letter so that contractor would practically deal with resident engineer shall work on behalf of engineer with all delegated powers as mentioned in an appointment letter. A time of 7 days is allowed to contractors to commence with contract works. Later, complete contract is executed within a given time limit, whereas contractor is required to produce a performance bond of defined sum from a designated bank. Contractor is also directed to make all submission as required by contract conditions, copies of which are either available with the contractor as bid document or could be provided to contractor for reference. Now it's contractor responsibility to commence with mobilization in line to execution statement included within bid documents. The on which appointment letter is issued may be considered contract commencement day or some other date appointed on letter itself could be referred to as contract commencement day to name it a practical contract baseline. Let me speak again these points which are very important. These some points. Let us start from big bid negotiation, which is an important part. We should be clear about with no confusion in part of big bid negotiation. Bid is opened by engineer. After submit is opened by engineer. Let's say opened by an engineer. After bid is submitted, it's opened by engineer. So it's called negotiation. Again, this whole process you can say calling it the bid opening it is, but let us include this negotiation. Bid is opened by engineer on date appointed and list of bidders is prepared. It's not necessary that bid be awarded to a bidder who is quoted minimum price, but this is part of practice only. Engineer examines and scrutinizes all bids received. Then a list is prepared by engineer to invite bidders under negotiation considerations one by one. Minimum quote bidder is prioritized for negotiation. Along with prime or main bid, alternative bid are also examined simultaneously. Notes are made for all bids regarding bid in order of submission or if certain deficiency exists. Whatever deficiency exists, bidder is asked to clear it or clarify it in a defined time for further consideration. After making complete review and scrutiny of bidders are called for further negotiations, which leads to award of bid to one best bidder. Later, engineer makes a report for bid award for owner's consideration, and final decision is taken by owner on engineer's recommendation. Now, contract award, I'll talk something else later on, having considered the engineer's recommendations. Owner approves award of contract and worked out sum, duly instructing engineer to issue letter of appointment to contractor. Letter of appointment to contractor. Engineer as such issues an appointment letter with approved lump sum for the full lump sum for carrying out complete scope within contract. Name of resident engineer is also included within this letter so that the contractor would practically deal with resident engineer, shall work on behalf of engineer, who shall work on behalf of engineer, who work on behalf of engineer with all delegated powers as mentioned in the appointment letter. A time of 7 days is allowed to contractor to commence with contract works. Later complete contract is executed within a given time limit, whereas contractor is required to produce a performance bond of defined sum from a designated bank. Contract is also directed to make all submission as required by contract conditions, copies of which are either available with contractor as a bid document or could be provided to contractor for reference. Now it's contractor responsibility to commence with the mobilization in line to execution statement included within bid documents. Now, day on which appointment letter is issued may be considered contract commencement day, or some other day is appointed on letter itself could be referred to as contract commencement day to name it a practical contract baseline. Before talking of site mobilization, I like to speak about what actually should be done and is done on lump sum contract as far as pricing is concerned. That's very important point. Very, very important point. I will just be back in a couple of minutes. calculations are mandated in a way, in lump sum contract. Because generally these prices are lump sum fixed prices, and we must understand how this works. When we fix lump sum prices, you know, lump sum fixed prices, which is something else, it's not simply whatever price you fix, you offer, and also it's done on BOQ, that we call bill of quantity. There are many BOQs on every you can say every project. There are many BOQs on every project or bid or tender, and these BOQs, you may say, are clubbed in or summed up on one last page, or whichever page. These are summed up in last page. This BOQ final price is worked out by summation of all this BOQ. That is policy on and that final price of all BOQs is called offer price, if you do not add any profit onto that, or if you do not give any discount on that. Even if you give profit or discount on that, then whatever price comes in, that price is called bid price or offer price. But time is, you have whatever price you have signed in, that price is final one for on your behalf. But when engineer scrutinizes your tender, scrutiny is done on all bill of quantities. All bill of quantities, because bill of quantities means quantity of that item and the rate that you placed in. All these calculations are checked. Particularly manual work, if it's done, or even if it's not manual, then whatever prices each item gives, amount gives, all these bills are added together. There should be no calculation error. Generally computers are used these days, but data entry can be made. There can be, you can say, any error done. There can be caused any error by whatever means, and that error, if discovered during scrutiny, raise question marks. What is that? Suppose your price you offered, whatever, and calculation scrutiny reveals that this price should be higher by whatever amount, it doesn't matter. In that case, engineer has to solve that problem. That calculated price should be more, but whatever contractor fixed that one, that engineer would ask contractor, bidder, are you ready to work on whatever price you offer? And of course, contractor cannot say, bidder cannot say no. And if says no, then there's a problem. But generally, bidder says yes, my fixed price is fixed, no change. So it is given in writing that I have to agree on this price, and following which engineer adjusts prices so that total price whatever was offered remains same, and that difference of price is proportioned in all items accordingly, and that price remains the same. But otherwise, if you see there's an error, like whatever offered price, that is should be less than offered one, by whatever percentages. In that case, without asking whether Bidder is only informed that your calculation error exists and price should be low, and then price is recalculated and that low price should be accepted by contractor or by bidder. If bidder wants to get this work, because calculation error cannot be accepted, and this price is reduced, and this way it is done. Now, site mobilization to commence contract scope. Site mobilization sorry, site mobilization to commence contract scope. What is site mobilization? That is a point for every common man to understand. No contractor is interested to waste any time to successfully complete contract. Oh my God. No contractor is interested to waste any time from time out of contract. Work must be done within this time. And if contractor is serious, of course must be serious. It's question of contract, which organization should do, which organization should pay. Every organization should be serious. It's a matter of contract. Contract is no joke, we must understand. It's signature by company or by your organization that you have to deliver this project done fully within this period. It's not just for formality. It's not formality, it is to be done. Very frank. Project duration is very important because otherwise liquidated damages are going to be imposed, shall be imposed on contractor. The planning and scheduling division of contractor should be well prepared in advance to direct site manager to chart out attack on all possible activities. All possible activity. Attack means, when I say attack means start. Attack doesn't mean gun attack, it means attack on activity, attack part of body or whatever project, contract or part of contract. Planning and scheduling division of contractor should be well prepared in advance to direct site manager to chart out attack on all possible activities. Project manager should fix a kick start meeting with engineer or resident engineer, if so appointed by engineer. Contractor formally meets resident engineer or engineer to confer on starting project. Contractor submits third party insurance documents and also performance bond of value defined. Contractor also submits proposed site office and related infrastructure to support doing permanent works. Resident engineer then examines a tabled proposal and approves it with certain modification if so required. All relevant issues pertinent contracts. Issued I have written, it should be issues. All relevant issues pertinent contract condition relevant at this stage are discussed in details and instructions are passed to contractor. Standard forms, if whatever used by engineer for purpose of formal submissions, are also handed over to contractor and mailed as feasible. Next site meeting should be conducted at site office if site office would be ready by that time. Then contractor has to move to work on site mobilization within defined contract period and commission of all such site office to be used by resident engineer and staff, as well as by contract agent and staff. All temporary services are provided in all offices, including sanitary, water, and offices establishment requirements. Once mobilization is complete, permanent works can be started. Now, mobilization means you have to make sure about site which you have to go to start. First of all, we should know in what area of site you can start our temporary office from for use of contractors, for use of subcontractors, for use of consultants or engineer. Which area should be free from all requirements. Suppose we should know according to site plan or details which area is free, or if there is no free area, then engineer shall provide some free area somewhere else there at site itself, or means it has to be discussed. If we have free area, we can use that purpose offices, and also our working yards, like carpenter working yard for shuttering, and steel fixing working yards for reinforcement, and also whatever else we require for site support, our safety offices, our quality offices, and all other offices. The area is required that engineer has to provide, or employer has to provide, or there should be condition that we have to lease some other area if we don't have that area. It's very important because without this you cannot do anything. And also, where shall labor workers stay? I mean, if they have to stay in some camp, remote site or off site, or every day they have to come to site or near site, we have to provide some camp. All these conditions should be clear. And there will be all, you can say, a life camp should be used, or if there is life camp provision somewhere, that can be hired. So means site offices, services on site, and camp for staff as well as for workers. All this should be decided during that mobilization period. And for sure, where record services, drawing, you mean to say record drawings must be seen, must be found from departments. Means where is whatever services are running in the, if there is no such drawing, we should go. Engineer contractor has request engineer to give a letter to go to those government departments, statutory departments, to find whether or not there is some service, there is some sewer line service, water line service, gas pipeline service, or some electrical service, or telephone service, or whatever service of whatever nature, can be even very powerful lines below. So those must be taken care of by requesting record drawings from relevant services, statutory body, and all must be done very rapidly, and we should get those drawings. And then we know whether excavation area is free or it's not free. If excavation area is not free, then we have to dig out manually those lines and request departments, please either remove these lines or divert them, or according to the contract what's required, we have to do. Because until record drawings are not available, you cannot know where are services, and if services are seen directly, then application can be moved. Your working area under your contract should be free. If it's not free, we cannot do anything. We cannot do excavation. This point must be kept in mind, that mobilization is very important part of project. It is not only mobilization of contractors, establishment, but mobilization of every aspect. Means within that period, we should establish all site offices, all camps, and our working yards, and also we should move ahead with record drawings issue, as well as we have to start in our procurement office many activities, and we can continue if we have already done material submittals to engineer, drawing submittals to engineer, whatever, however can do. And also we have to submit time schedule, you can say program or schedule for project within 14 days. It depends on how many days. So let's know contract related permanent works, contract related permanent works, all disciplines. So before going further, I tried to explain what else can be done. Period of mobilization, don't be in panic, that's all right, but it is very rapid state, that you have to move in. If you don't move rapidly, certainly you will lose time. And no overconfidence, please, that we have enough time, you can do that, because always time is not enough. Time moves very fast, but works do not move very fast. There's a relation between time and work. Time shall not stop for you, that is also true. And if you stop work, you will stop yourself. If you move, you will move project. So project movement lies in your hands, while time movement lies in nature's hand. Time shall never stop for you, and your work may stop for you because of your ignorance, that you are not sure about how to use this time. And if you go through general conditions, project conditions, the contract conditions, project contract, the particular condition, I should say, the specification and all documents of contract, which also takes some time to study. If you are not done, you are not in bidding. If you are not in bidding, maybe you have gone through that stage, and you don't need that much review, but even then, some things to be studied. You might not have studied specifications to that extent during your bidding, but now you have to go thoroughly to do that. Then all stages come up. We are here talking of AnnexSL. So contract related permanent works, all disciplines. Now what you say? RCC building works involve many activities that would be shown on level 1 schedule of planning. From site talk over to site handover. All activities related to all disciplines are included with prime start and complete time limits. Prime start, it is not star. These activities are further elaborated on other level schedules. So as to control all works within defined time limit. Here project management plays a very significant part, to be conducted by project manager by support of planning engineers. All works are carried out by site managers, engineers, based on this schedule, and day after another progress is achieved and monitored. All work should be carried out meeting contractual requirement without any carelessness. All related staff must be trained for all activities that must be carried out per defined methods and complying with required management of specifications in all respects. Weekly reports are presented by planning engineer to evaluate real progress or value in comparison to planned schedule. In case there is noticed delay In case there is noticed delays on site progress, achievements, methods are adopted to check delays by extending work hours and also by importing additional resources from other sources. Whatever works are produced during 1 month are measured by planning engineer or valuation engineer, and payment due statement is worked out for submission to resident engineer or engineer. That is payment certificate statement. It's called running valuation. This is part of running valuation. Then now, in case approved materials which are non-perishable, approved materials which are non-perishable are procured during this valuation period. That part value as agreed with engineer or resident engineer, say 75% could be added to works carried out. 75% it is by mistake itself enough. There are some errors also in this typing, please don't mind them. A contractual requires deductions in line to conditions within contract are deducted from each valuation and final running sum reached and agreed between resident engineer and engineer. Now this valuation is approved by owner on recommendation by engineer for making payment to contractor. Engineer issues a payment certificate. Engineer issues a payment certificate to contractor for its legal banking purpose whatsoever. During contract execution and prosecution, all divisions and all disciplines play respective roles from leadership offices as well as from key personnel posted on site. It is very significant to keep all historical records of contract activities during currency of project execution so that tracing of its record may not cause any problem. So it is very significant, I repeat, it's very significant to keep all historical records of contract activities. It's very significant to keep all historical records of contract activities during currency of project execution so that tracing of each record may not cause any problem. It should be remembered that there may be working friendship between staff of resident engineer and contractor on personal levels. Yet both are different, and contract is binding. Contract is binding on both owners and contractor. Contract is binding. I'm sorry, some mistakes. Contract is binding on both owner and contractor. Engineer and resident engineers are not any party on construction contract. They are no party. Just keep in mind that it's a fact of life that engineer or resident engineer, they do not make any party on construction contract, because on construction contract it is employer party 1 and contractor party 2. Engineer is independent party there, an independent party. Engineer and resident engineers no party on construction contract. Whatever personal level coordination could be made should be limited to work activities, that is working relation based, not shared by contractual complexities. There's no harm in having working relations. You can say congenial, I should not say congenial, but working relations should be, you know, attractive working relation, because engineers representative or this information. That's a more point down that whatever personal level coordination be made should be limited to work activities and not be shared by contractual complexities. No personal assurances on contract matters are acceptable to certain extent. Commercial issues are concerned which all must be covered for protection in writing only. Though such writings may be in profile, in profile, and then alright, then we go further. I repeat, no personal assurances on contract matters are acceptable to certain extent. Commercial issues are concerned which all must be covered for protection in writing only. Though such writings may be in polite or soft script of language, or you may call by convention diplomatic language. Well, it's not any practice, it's not practice just to just to just, Remember that when we talk of this, mm, said no personal assurance. Okay, that's right. It is not any. There's no practice in construction industry to deploy legal personnel, say barrister or advocates, to look after contract matters on site. There's no such practice, and that's not practical as well, because works move on trusts and also on efforts. You may say no personal assurance on contract matters are acceptable. No personal matters on. It says whatever you know, whatever personal level coordination, that's different, should be limited to work activities and not shared by contractual complexities. No personal assurances on contract matters are acceptable to a certain extent. Commercial issues are concerned which all must be covered for protection in writing only, though much such writings may be in polite and soft script of language. It's not, there's no practice in construction industry to deploy legal personnel, say barrister or advocates, to look after contract matters on site. All contract matters are by looked after for treatment by engineers on site, and probably by head engineer, project manager, who must have deep knowledge about contract conditions and future impacts contract that contract can receive if issues are not properly cared for at site level during currency of contract. Now, during dispute resolution mechanism, all records support whatever claims are raised by contractor against owner. What it says, during dispute resolution mechanism, all records support whatever claims are raised by contractor against owner. If contractual activity records are not properly managed and recorded by site team, it shall be equivalent to impossible to work on claims raising exercise, and possibly claim sums would be lost forever. Otherwise, there could be 3 years limitation period to move dispute resolution mechanism even after project has been handed over to owner. Therefore, senior engineers or project manager must be very smart in recording serious activities that could lead to possible disputes in figure. Section on site working for contract projects. Personnel belonging to all sections. Personnel belonging to all sections, personnel belonging to all sections are available on site for purpose to support site manager to prosecute all activities. Engineering team has to work out all design details and review available details for purpose to obtain clarifications of engineering decisions for either missing items or clashing items. Contract section team requires to keep a watch on all instructions coming and coming from engineer or resident engineer to ascertain whether or not it constitutes contract variation. Quantity survey team has to provide required quantities for each and every item to be used on project. Land survey team section has to set out all details, points and make marking that are necessary to carry out relative civil activity. Procurement material team coordinator has to place in requisition for ordering required materials. Planning and rescheduling or that planning and scheduling team has to work out relative schedules for weekly, monthly and quarterly requirements. Civil work team has to carry out all activities related to civil building items. Now, civil work team has to carry out all activities related to civil building items. Planning and scheduling team has to work out relative schedules for weekly, monthly and quarterly requirements. Mechanical engineering team required to work for HVAC and plumbing and sanitary activities throughout. Electrical engineering team is required to carry out works during interactivities while whatever activities on whatever items be moving. Quality engineering team is required to you can say quality engineering, electrical engineering team is required to carry out works during interactivities and all. Hmm. So we should say electrical engineering team is required to carry out work uh, during interactivities while whether activities on whatever type of can be moving. Quality engineering team is required to interact for inspection, checking out and verification of whatever works are carried out on site. Document control section team requires to keep complete records of all project documents, documented information whatsoever in easy conditions. So what I say according to this statement that quality engineering team is required to interact for inspection, checking out and verification of whatever works are carried out on site. Document control section team requires to keep complete records of all project documents, documented information whatsoever in a proper manner, making it convenient traceability as and when required is important documents. Yes, I agree with you. As you see, one formation we use means through documents, it should be authentic one. Superseded drawing should be superseded. Only issued for construction drawings are not written here, but only those drawings which are valid means issued for construction, those should be issued. Superseded drawing or informative drawings or others should be kept in separate section. Updated drawings only should go to site people, that's main job. And then all the jobs will see later on move through, or the paperwork moves through. DCC is gone. DCR. So you can say very clearly that document control body on site is very important, because generally all documents pass through that. All queries, technical queries, drawings, submissions, materials, whatever all. Now, on top of all foregoing sections, project manager is responsible and accountable, being a leader on project, therefore requires to direct all personnel related to all sections and coordinate with corporate head office. Now, performance evaluation, which means monitoring, measurement, analysis and evaluation, internal audit, management review. Points for considerations are: management requires to check about material. Cons- you know, Points for considerations are: management requires to decide about internal audit to ensure compliance of management system. Final review by management to ensure its compliance and whether or not system works suitable, adequately and effectively. Construction operations are monitorable I say, and measurable for purpose of further analysis and earned value. Monitoring, measurement, analysis and evaluation is a defined process which requires to be conducted both by internally deployed management as well as at defined schedules by external third party audit authorities. At monitoring, measurement, analysis and evaluation is a defined process which requires to be conducted by internally developed deployed management as well as at defined schedules by external third party audit authorities. Many observations are recorded by both internal and external authorities or auditors, which nothing and instructions should not be passed through their way. Then you go to next one that you know many observations are are recorded by both internal and external auditors, which nothing and instructions which noting and instructions should be entirely reviewed by top management leaders. Top leader then requires to decide or disagree or agree for compliance of current system, or what steps shall be required to be taken to make it fully compliant and observe. Yes. After that, top leader then requires to decide for compliance of current system and what steps shall be taken to make it fully compliant, and also what degree of value engineering can be inducted onto existing system for further successful completions. Then improvement includes non-conformity and corrective action, continual improvement, and point for consideration. So, in changing business environment, processes and objectives vary to meet which requirement. Continual monitoring and evaluation improvements are a must. As stated earlier, that technologies keep on changing as well as business environment, which makes it incumbent upon organization to keep pace with market so as to be at required standard mark. This requires review of non-conformities, resorting to corrective actions for charting out corrective action. Such making and evolving keeps system frequently updated, and all involved personnel continue learn and update. All leaders require share improvements responsibilities. Uh, all leaders require share improvement responsibilities all times at currently running projects and adopt as lessons learned on future projects as part of historical references. Major documents, which are in the sense contract documents, which is very important one. Contract document, project schedule agreed by the engineer, owner, contract drawings, contract specifications, execution method statement, significant method statement, shop and working drawings, national codes, international codes, national annexes, nationally determined parameters, published documents, DAB if applies. I repeat these documents: contract documents or contract forms, project schedule agreed with engineer owner, contract drawings, contract specifications, or either can be contract specifications and then contract drawings. Decide yourself, see your contract, that it is contract specification and then contract drawings. Execution method statement then comes and significant method statements. Shop and working drawings, national codes, international codes, national annexes, nationally determined parameters, published documents, DAB if applies. We have gone through this document. I can have a just re-look of these documents as we did in few seconds, and is that quality system definition. This what it says, then clause 1 to 10 as we have gone through. Important, you can say, important explanations of clause 1 to clause 10, which is very important point. Then it's all you have seen. Explanations are there, of course, with some errors which I will. Please don't take spelling errors seriously. It happens. It was done in 2016, so already 5 years back. I kept it without the publication except on the internet. So now I'm giving to on Facebook and other portals. So it is like that. So it's just much is to be said further about this, but now time is constrained and I can see that. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to stop now this video, and this my you can say certification. So let's stop it for